Okay, let's go ahead and start. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the City Commission regular meeting for Tuesday, January 12th, our first one of 2016. Welcome back to everybody. We'll go ahead and begin by doing the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence, and also like to remind you to turn off or silence your cell phones. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. For old business, we'll go ahead and consider the minutes of the previous meeting for December 22nd. Are there any corrections or changes needed? Okay, if not, are we ready for a motion for approval?
Madam Mayor, I move that we accept the minutes for December 22nd, 2015 meeting.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes for December 22nd, 2015 regular meeting. Begin voting with Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
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 Aye. That passes 5-0. And under new business, we'll go ahead and start general items, and we're up for nominations for the office of mayor, mayor pro tem, and financial claims reviewer.
Madam Mayor, I move that we appoint Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Larry Dedeke to be mayor for the term January 12th, 2016 to January 10th, 2017.
Second.
Second, yeah.
I have a motion and a second to appoint Pro Tem Larry Dedeke to the position of mayor for the term of January 12th, 2016 through January 10th, 2017. Begin voting again with Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
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 Abstain.
That passes 4 with 1 abstention. For the office of Mayor Pro Tem, just a point of order, do we switch at this time?
Yeah.
Since it's our first time to do that? Yeah, it's okay, yeah. I had to get back there and thinking way back and yeah.
You can go ahead and do it.
Yeah, let's do it, okay. Okay, and then we'll just take it from here, new mayor, sir. Do I have anything to say at this moment? I know that there's going to be a moment down the road that we'll do that, but right now I just kind of like to express my thanks to the commission for their confidence in me over this time. I did get some questions in the community why we're doing this, and only to explain that in the infinite wisdom of our state legislature, they had decided to change our election cycle. So this is why we are going through this. It's not because I don't like being mayor or anything like that, or there's a lack of confidence or anything like that. But we are just change is thrust. Yes, change has been thrust upon us. So, but again, thank you so much. It's been an enjoyable but short year, but you know, always good to work with everyone.
Thank you. And I also would like to express my appreciation to the commission for your confidence. We'll begin where the former mayor left off. Nominations for Mayor Pro Tem, January the 12th of 16 to January the 10th of 17.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we appoint Commissioner Nancy Bowder to the position of Mayor Pro Tem for the term January 12th, 2016 to January 10th, 2017.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Begin voting. Commissioner Weekly?
Aye.
Abstain.
Aye.
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 Passes 4-0. Excuse me. Our third is our financial claim reviewer for the same dates. Take a motion.
I would like to nominate Commissioner Rainey to be the claims reviewer. It is such a rewarding position. You will learn a lot about the city on that, to do that, sir. So,
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Pricing.
Aye.
Sustain.
Aye.
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 Okay, that passes 4-1 also. You'll get broke in this evening because you can read it when we go off of air.
All righty.
First matter of business this evening is a resolution B-Boy 2127 authorizing
Mr.
the
Mayor,
acquisition.
Citizens participation.
Yep, okay. We got that one out of the way early. That's my only mistake I'll make this year. Not seeing any, but I will ask, is there any citizens who have anything on their mind that'd like to come up and speak to the commission? Not seeing any, we'll go ahead and move on. Resolution B-Boy 2127, authorizing the acquisition of a fire truck to be financed with GO bonds.
I'll let our city clerk, Carla Williamson, handle this.
Yeah, this is a resolution, B-2127, to authorize the city to acquire 3 fire trucks and to be financed with general obligation bonds under the Home Rule Authority, Ordinance number 7942. This just is asking the commission to give you authority to authorize those bonds. The fire trucks have been, are in the CIP, and the actual bids for the fire trucks will be at the next regular meeting. So you're not authorizing the bids on the fire trucks or anything like
just
that
a
at this
resolution.
point. It's just authorizing this first step and authorizing the use of bonds for the purchase.
Okay, is there any questions?
No.
If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept Resolution B 2127, authorizing the acquisition of fire trucks to be financed with GO bonds.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second for Resolution B 2127. Begin voting with Commissioner Weekly.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Commissioner Rainey?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes 5-0. Bids, contracts, and agreements. Bids for the fire department administrative vehicle.
I believe Battalion Chief Mike Shore is going to present tonight.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. Here tonight to request approval to move forward with the purchase of a new administration vehicle for the fire department. It'll be replacing a 2004 model that we have. It's one of 2 vehicles at the fire department right now that kind of meet the threshold of our replacement plan, 10 years or 100,000 miles. It's the new one we're getting. It'll have a service package designed specifically for emergency services, which will include certain things like extra wiring, heavier duty alternators, batteries, set up more for radios and sirens and lights and everything. Let's see here, the one that we're getting at, we looked at our available purchasing options and we decided to go with the Kansas City Regional Purchasing Cooperative, which is handled administratively through Mid-American Regional Council.
Right.
This will allow us to get the best price on the vehicle and still ensure that all the standard government purchasing practices are being followed. They send out they send out requests for proposals to all the metropolitan dealers, and we don't know who all bid, but we just know the winning bidder for this vehicle was Robert Chevrolet out of Platte City, and they have got us a price on that, priced it at $37,500, and 2004 model we're trading in. They've given us $2,500 valuation on, and with the purchase price and the trade-in value, it brings it in line with the $35,000 that was identified in the 2016 CIP for the purchase of an admin vehicle. And we would like to move forward with this purchase as soon as possible, just because of the valuation on this trade-in could certainly change with the additional mileage and wear and tear on the vehicle.
Any questions? I have one.
Okay.
I always do on these. On your trade-in, 2004 SUV, in the condition that Explorer is in, is worth at least 3 times what they're giving you. My suggestion is to pay the difference, if that's what they want to do, and sell it online.
Well, we had talked about that and looked up, went online to the Kelly Blue Book and did an evaluation on it, and it came up, averaged right at $2,012 for that year with the 96,000 miles that's on it. And it showed a range actually of 1,700 up to 2,500 was the range, and they had worked pretty hard to try to get that price. And the problem with selling this outright, is these vehicles, we get them in, they have seats that are missing because of consoles, or holes in the roofs that are, from antennas for the radios. So you certainly don't get anywhere near what the top of the
I know it's not going to be like a normal trade-in from the citizen, but you can't go off of KBB all the time, or NADA or whatever, but I would dare anybody from the fire department to go out on a used car lot and find an 04 with 90+ thousand on it for $2,500.
Sure.
We can certainly explore Purple Wave that we used in the past. See what we can do with that.
Yeah, I mean,
if that's the
you're
direction of the commission.
not going to get hurt.
We
If
won't
that's all
lose
it
money.
brings,
Right.
then I'll stand
Yeah.
correct it, but we still come up with the same amount.
We can certainly do that.
Can we authorize just the outright purchase? of the
You're going to
vehicle?
have to authorize it
Yeah.
with the full purchase price.
37.5, right?
Yes, sir.
Well, and that would at least be something to keep track of when we have to do this in the future too.
Sure.
Which
You
is
can gauge
really,
Purple
which
Wave
is a
off what
viable
the
option
officer
to
did.
do that with, yeah.
Gives us a little
If
bit
it
of
turns
history on
out
that
it's,
stuff.
easier to
Right.
get rid of the vehicle in this manner, then you can just move forward with that next time.
Right.
That'd be fine.
If there's not any more questions, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Go ahead.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we authorize the fire department to purchase was it 2016? I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
2016 Chevy SUV from Robert Chevrolet in the amount of $37,500, and that the 2004 SUV that's replacing be sold on Purple Wave, or whatever the city manager determines is the proper way of disposing of city property.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
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 Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
When will you get it? When will you pick up the vehicle?
Mike?
I'm sorry, what?
When will you pick up the vehicle?
We'll have to get
First of all, we'll have to get the PO probably this week, and then we have to actually order it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it'll be
okay,
ordered.
It's not
nice and
sitting there or
all set.
anything. You're
Yeah.
talking a month or so?
Yes.
And
Yeah, they
have
had
to-
told us 3 to 4 months.
Oh,
roughly.
okay. Thank you.
Item number 5 is bids for engineering and inspection vehicles.
Mike Cooper on this?
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. With the hiring of additional Public Works engineering staff and the inspection vehicle going down just about the time the CIP was being put together, staff requested 2 vehicles be purchased under the CIP. It was approved. We went out for bids, received the bids. A copy of those bid tabs are in your bid packet. And we did solicit bids for a 6-cylinder, 2-wheel drive Ford Explorer, Chevy Traverse sized vehicle, as well as a 4-cylinder, 2-wheel drive Ford Escape or Chevy Equinox sized vehicle. You can see those bid results. As a result of those bids, staff is recommending that the commission approve the purchase of 2 2016 Chevrolet Equinox LTs from Ed Bozarth Chevrolet in an amount not to exceed $44,318.
Looking at this, I'm looking at the total bid cost, and I see Bozarth and Topeka, $22,159, Zek, it's $21,446, Landmark at $21,320. Am I reading it wrong? How is Bozarth the cheapest when I see 2 others cheaper?
You are reading those results correct. One thing we asked for were heated mirrors on the vehicles as safety equipment. those vehicles will be on the road quite a bit in the winter months, and so the Ford Escape that was bid by Zec does not have the heated mirrors. The Landmark Dodge Jeep Cherokee Sport didn't meet the specs as far as wheelbase as well as the heated mirrors on that. So we looked at the bids, and the best vehicle for what we were wanting to use it for at the least amount of money was the two Equinoxes from Bozarth.
I'd like to add that they're not just out in the cold, they're out inspecting the snow plows when we use contractors. So it's not just to have warm windows on cold days, it's because they'll be out in the middle of the night, potentially in snow conditions.
But Zach couldn't bid that? They couldn't bid that?
They could have bid that.
They didn't?
They didn't.
Well, shouldn't we have bids that are
It was in
consistent?
the bid specs that
specs.
requested that.
Okay. Okay.
It probably would have been appropriate to
Mark's even.
identify that it didn't meet that specification more clearly here in the policy report. I think that's an issue that we identified.
Yeah.
And do heated mirrors come into play? I mean, I don't think I have heated mirrors in my cars, and I don't know if I've ever frozen them up. Maybe I have, maybe I haven't, and I know I don't follow snow plows around at midnight either, but
Well, it's a safety issue, and the employees are held accountable for backing accidents.
Okay.
And it is entirely within their own possibilities that severe disciplinary action occurs when somebody backs a vehicle up and didn't use their mirrors.
so the mirrors do freeze up?
Yes.
I mean, that is a concern that you do have?
Yes.
So it's more of a safety issue than anything.
Okay.
Yeah, because really on the surface, that was my, because it sounds like a
Yeah.
luxury item, yeah, because that is, but, so I really want to see how well it was vetted and thought through.
Yeah.
Okay, is there any other questions or remarks? If not, is there a motion?
I move, Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the purchase of two 2016 Chevrolet Equinox LT from Ed Bozarth Chevrolet in the amount not to exceed $44,318.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Weekly.
Aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Item number 6 is a bid for sole source purchase of Trimble for remote global positioning.
Let Mike McDonald, Public Works Director, handle this.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioners, this is a continuation of our GPS equipment that integrates into our GIS system as well as provides accurate information for a variety of city projects. The current unit that we are using was purchased in 2011, where it had been used as a demonstrator by the supplier from, I believe it's about 2008. And we are running into functional problems with software and equipment life. The equipment is fairly lightweight and quite portable, so one person can do the job of what essentially 3 people used to do less than 20 years ago when it comes to obtaining measurements. The equipment that is being proposed will be a direct replacement for what we have, and we will not keep the other unit.
Questions or comments?
And this is used, I really kind of want this elaborate a little bit more. It's used how and where?
It locates things. It's kind of the magic stick of the 21st century. You can take it and put it on a manhole or on a tree or a property corner, and we'll obtain its location in space as well as elevation within just a few inches, without having to go through a complicated exercise of measuring or setting up levels and having somebody else out there to help you do that. That's the beauty of it, but we use it for exactly that. Where are the manholes? Where are the storm sewer inlets? Where are the storm sewer outfalls? And we started our mapping project back in the late 80s and early 90s. We basically traced old project plans and drawings and had people out in the field and they sketched what they thought they saw. We have spent the last 10 years cleaning up the odds and ends of that where things were off by considerable distances. You can go find the manhole or the storm sewer, and you know where it is now. Not from somebody's estimation that wasn't trained as we used when we set the maps up.
Thank you, Mike. And Paul, I know that we talked a little bit, we usually don't go for a sole source contract, but just for the public, I'd like you to kind of elaborate why that was chosen.
In this case, it's essentially proprietary software. All the data and all the stuff we've done over the last 10 years, essentially, it's pyramidal. It builds each time we add layers of GIS and capabilities and refine it. So in this case, it's the proprietary software that we need to continue, and it wouldn't make any sense to start with a new brand of software.
Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, is there a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the purchase of Trumbull for the remote global positioning from, is it Geospandal Division, not to exceed $16,075.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Item number 7 is a bid for purchase of LED lights.
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor and Commission, this is a continuation of our project to replace city-owned street lights with LEDs. This is primarily, this will complete the street lights on 20th Street. Will all be replaced with LEDs. In addition to that, there are funds in this project for replacing a handful of other lights in the community that have not been upgraded on some of the traffic signals and such. This should wrap up our major conversion of LEDs with possible exception of the Arbor Way lights. I think there's 6 lights that will not be able to be addressed with this project, and we'll evaluate whether that's operating budget or a CIP item to submit for next year.
Okay. Is this what we install ourselves, or?
We contract the installation, and the difference between the funds made available in the CIP and the bid price, there's a funding available for installation. Typically, one of our local electrical firms installs these lights. Our equipment doesn't reach that high.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
No, I just remember back in, 2008, Mr. Patswold selling us this idea. And it's now kind of finally coming to a close there on that, yeah.
Yeah, but we can get the other half of the Centennial Bridge done.
Yeah, I know, yeah.
Okay, there was a motion and a second?
We didn't move yet.
I don't think there hasn't been either, has there?
Okay.
I'll move. I move we approve the purchase of 36 LED fixtures from Western Extra Light at a cost not to exceed $21,806.28.
Second it.
I have a motion and a second. Again, voting with Commissioner Preisinger.
Aye.
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 Passes 5-0. Next is the consent agenda. Mr. Rainey?
Mr. Mayor, I move that we accept claims for December 19, 2015 through January 8, 2016 in the amount of $1,530,523.43. Payroll number 26 effective December 24, 2015 in the amount of $328,918.66. This includes the police and fire pension payroll of $10,905.68. and payroll number 1 effective January 8th, 2016 in the amount of $305,288.79.
Since we reviewed these, I'll second. I already reviewed them.
We have a motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Weekly.
Aye.
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 That passes 5-0. Okay, we do have a need for an executive session this evening, but before that, is there anything that the commissioners want to bring up independently?
I'll defer to Commissioner.
No,
Oh,
thank
you already
you.
talked to
Yeah, I know, I just shared with the commissioners earlier that I spoke with the I read to the second graders at Henry Leavenworth Elementary School today. It's your turn now to sign up for that. Yeah, they were a little surprised to discover that we don't drive in a limousine or we don't live in a mansion, and we aren't paid very well either on that. So they're wondering what all the glamour is about here, you know. But it was a lot of fun. They asked some really great questions, and I urge you guys to participate in that.
Nancy, you have anything?
I don't have anything. Thank you to the commission for voting me in as Mayor Pro Tem. I look forward to serving.
Mr. Rainey.
Thank you to the other commissioners for your confidence in me as finance director.
Said tongue-in-cheek, right?
Said tongue-in-cheek, there you go.
Mr. Preisinger.
I've got a couple things. One, there's a story in Friday's paper on the R cut on McIntyre Road going south on K7. I know this commission has talked about it many times over the past 7 years that I've been on commission on all the stoplights going south on K7. What used to be, I don't want to say a super highway, but you could drive it at 65 miles an hour. 20 years ago, there was only a flashing yellow light at Victory Junction. Now there's 6 or 7 lights, making that trip much slower. The KDOT master plan is to have frontage roads. They've always not done that, and which is obviously made that drive slower going to Kansas City, and also inhibiting people from coming to Kansas City to come up and do business in our town. The car dealers no longer can advertise we're only 8 minutes or 18 minutes from Kansas City. I mean, they'd be lying if they said that because of that. But there's a plan now out in Lansing. I know it was briefed to the Lansing City Council and to the County Commission. They put in a stoplight, or they do something at McIntyre Road, and they put in what's called an R cut, and I'm sure that Mr. McDonald and Mr. Hooper understand that better than we do, but many states have done it, which prevents crossover accidents, and because there have been so many accidents on this highway because of those stoplights. And I'm hoping that KDOT and Lansing go with that, and it becomes the norm. Having said that, I'm also very concerned about KDOT. This commission voted unanimously, 5-0, on our legislative update on what we want to discuss with the legislators, that we didn't want them robbing KDOT anymore. During our legislative breakfast with them, unfortunately I wasn't able to attend. I did listen, but my phone would not talk. There wasn't much pushback with our legislators on that. We heard, in my opinion, simplistic arguments saying, oh, you got to run it like a kitchen budget. If you save $20 on food, you don't go out and buy $20 more food. You use it for other things. Well, KDOT money is not that way, never has been that way. By law, it has been that the most that they could borrow from KDOT for general budget purposes was 18%, and that has been the law in Kansas. If there's $100 million in the KDOT funds, the legislature, the state government could borrow 18 million of it and use it for general funds. The legislature did last year, and wasn't really, didn't become known until about 6 weeks ago. They lifted that, suspended it completely. They can rob KDOT down to zero. There is no limit on how much they can take out of KDOT. This is going to have a horrid effect on the state of Kansas, already is. Kansas Contractors Association, all of them are up in arms against it. In fact, they put a big billboard up in Topeka saying, you know, it's highway robbery, which it is. And this is poor, poor fiscal management. That's not the way you run a business, not the way you run a government. Maybe it's the way you buy your groceries, but it isn't the way you run a government. And I know that we voted unanimously for it, and I think that we should continue pushing that we want that KDOT money not robbed. Another thing that this commission voted unanimously 5-0 on is that we did not want the tax lid put on by the legislature, limiting what the cities, counties, the taxing bodies within the state, probably including the school boards, what they could, you know, take the taxing authority away from us, our elected bodies. Didn't hear much pushback on that during the legislative breakfast either, but I also think that's very important. And I think 100% of all the counties, 100% of the cities are in favor of not having this tax lid. No one's in favor of, besides the group in Topeka. And I would push that we push our city manager to talk to the League of Kansas Municipalities, and I hope the county talks to the League of County Municipalities, or whatever they might be called, to push that. I mean, that's what we pay them for. Our voices should be heard. Of 105 counties in the state and probably 350 cities or however many cities, that should be an action item that this commission, did want to be heard, and I hope that is heard, because this also will have a very long-term effect on cities, municipalities, and counties in this state. And I think it's poor fiscal management. And one last thing, I see that the new the chairman of the Board of County Commissioners in the audience tonight, recently elected Chairman Robert Holland, my good friend, but I will take this time to take a jab at him, because I was involved in talking about getting the 20-year tax extension for the county sales tax. I was on a little bit of the talking tour along with various other people. And it was said and it was stated that one of the major projects that we'd fund with that would be Eisenhower from approximately Walmart out to County Road 5. And that it'd be widened just like it is east of Walmart, and maybe it wasn't clearly stated, but we said just like that. The spirit and intent was it'd be curbed and guttered. Now I see the county commission saying, "Hey, I don't know about the curbs and guttering. We might just put a blacktop 4 lanes wide." That is not what we sold to the people, and I know all the people that are involved that were behind this, pushing it, are somewhat upset that the county commission is even considering doing a half. I won't use the word doing half the job, and I'm asking that Commissioner Holland, or Chairman Holland, and the other commissioners rethink that, and let's do what we promised the taxpayers. Because if we don't, I'm embarrassed that we made this promise to the taxpayers. One of the ways that we sold this 20-year extension on the taxes. And that's all I have to say on that.
Commissioner Preisinger,
Yeah.
I've too been following that dialogue and have share those same concerns that you do. And and I thank Commissioner Holland for joining us tonight, but did not really totally put him on the spot. What I would like to do as the commission is to put our concern in writing to the commission, and so it would be a public record and not just a misunderstanding of dialogue. So
I would welcome that.
Would there be a consensus amongst the commission to do that?
Yes.
So Paul, you could draft the letter, and that at least would be a starting point as we continue this dialogue, as we go down the road together.
Discussion from
yes,
that.
Yes, yeah. But that at least they'll have firmly in writing where we stand on this.
Anyone else? Paul?
Building off Commissioner Preisinger, good segue. Senate Bill 316 was introduced yesterday. It's been referred to committee, the Senate Taxation Committee. It is the tax bill lid, and it is changed from last year. Some of the exemptions have been removed that they put in last year, saying that you could raise your property tax without a public vote should this happen. They've removed some exemptions. And they've also moved up the date from January 1st, 2018 to July 1st, 2016. So that would be this July. Again, it's just been referred to committee. We don't have anybody, I don't believe, I looked at the committee composition today, I don't believe we have anybody in our delegation on that committee. However, should the commission so choose, we can submit written testimony, aka a position paper on that. I would be happy to draft that up and submit that on the behalf of the city of Leavenworth, and/or endorse any letter that the league should do in opposition to the tax lid, and then also these changes that get rid of some of the deductions that were introduced last year.
With these exemptions you're talking about, would that handcuff the city even more, or is it released?
Yeah, I'll just give you one. One of the exemptions last year was you were able to raise your property tax without a public vote if costs for new infrastructure or improvements to existing infrastructure required that. That exemption is no longer in there. So should you have new infrastructure or the need to repair existing infrastructure, you would not be able to increase your property tax above the CPI to pay for those without a public vote. So some of these, 4, I believe, that there were last year are being deteriorated before this even goes into effect.
Listen, Senator Fitzgerald had said, we can, we're not telling you how much you can raise, we're telling you what you can spend it on. And I kind of took offense at that because our city should be able to make our decision on what we spend tax money.
Well, we were unanimous here, 5-0, that we oppose this.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing that we're probably still there. This is the same thing, only a little bit tighter. The thing that scares me is I know that part of our legislation, our delegation pushing, only 5 voted for it to put it to effect July 1st, 2015. They did that when they're making all their overtime last June. That got voted down, and they're talking about doing it in 2017, 2018. Now they're going to move it up. It's 5 months from now, 6 months from now. And it's the same group that screams that the federal government's telling them what to do, and we want freedom from the federal government. We got our 10th Amendment. Now, I kind of feel the same way. We run our cities, they run the state, and why should they tell us how to run the city? The people elect their representatives at the city level, county level, school board level, knowing full well that they can enact taxes, whatever the responsibilities are. They are handcuffing us, and I think that we should take a position against it because I do think it's wrong. I think it's an overreach.
In the past, we've sent our position to our delegation, but I'd like to, if the commission gives consensus, to do the written testimony, which is included in the record.
Yes.
Should I
Yeah,
have that?
I would, yeah.
Yeah, we're all in agreement with that, and we're still unanimous on this one. Okay.
Well, I agree with Commissioner Preisinger, everything that he stated. I think that our legislature needs to keep their nose out of the city's business and take care of the state's business because they need to. It seems to me, just from what I hear and what I see, they're copycatting what's going on in Washington, D.C. And that's nothing, and that's about the same thing we're getting in our state legislature. So I guess all I can say is if they don't straighten up, we can straighten them up next voting. Okay.
I think the word will be remember in November.
Right. Item number 8 is an executive session for land acquisition. What kind of time, Paul?
How long?
15 minutes.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we go into executive session for the purpose to discuss land acquisition. We return to this room at 7:52 by this clock.
Second.
We have a motion to return to executive session. Begin voting. Commissioner Weekly?
Aye.
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 We are in executive. Okay, we're back from the executive session with no action taken. If there's nothing else, any other business to be handled, I'd ask for a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Begin. We'll begin voting. Commissioner Preisinger?
Aye.
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 We are adjourned.